know, boys, Callaway has been a gear trendsetter for years. I mean, you go all the way back to the Big Bertha. They were the creators of bringing AI into the face technology for their drivers. And now they're bringing us something a little bit different. I'd say it's a paradigm shift when it comes to drivers. The new Callaway Paradym. Now, this is a really interesting driver because not only are they introducing AI on the face with these, jailbreaks back, it's the bars on the inside that help make the transfer of energy more efficient. These are actually lighter bars, but that's not the coolest thing about this driver. Now, I'm loving the color on this. It looks like a crushed velvet, but it's blue.
I could rock a jacket in that, by the way, I think. So,
yeah,
you know?
it gives it a premium look. Now, we see the carbon crown, carbon sole, but check this out. It's a 360-degree wrap of carbon. I mean, this is again kind of this paradigm shift. They're reducing the weight. This is actually 44% lighter than titanium. But the fact that they're able to wrap the carbon is something that, I mean, have you ever seen that before?
Yeah, I mean, I think the cool thing with this is that they're utilizing the forged carbon on the bottom, and then they've got your more traditional carbon weave on top, which is with that larger panel, right? And we saw this with the new Big Bertha, was the forged carbon. They're starting to use that on different parts of the driver again, and they've used it in the past. But being able to have it where, and we've talked to the engineers in the past, like they have to make that bottom stronger just to support what goes on and the amount of stress that goes into that. But the goal of making and utilizing as little weight as possible on the top to lower that center of gravity and give them the opportunity to move it around, because most driver heads in reality weigh about 205 grams. So the engineers have to take that weight from someplace else to move it within the club head to increase MOI, lower center of gravity. And they've got a couple different models here that are doing that in all different ways for different golfers.
I'm holding the Paradym, which is going to be more of your standard head. It has a movable weight here in the back. We're going to be able to go draw or fade depending on where you want to put that 15-gram weight. RB, you've got the
I've got the X. So we've got no movable weight, but we have adjustable weight on the back for like fine tuning, but they're just basically pushing it all the way back to really create something that's going to be higher launching and lower spinning, because when it comes to maximizing distance for golfers that are missing around the face, being able to create those kind of launch conditions is where golfers are going to pick up distance.
Yeah, and then we also have a triple diamond version for those best players in the world using the triple diamond, I would guess. More forward CG, lower launch, lower spin for the faster ball speed guys. The great thing about having this product is we're able to have Gene over here, Mr. Robot,
And the
test
actual
it.
Mr. Robot.
Yeah, and the actual Mr. Robot test his new product. Gene, what did you?
Not just me babbling for incoherent minutes
Yeah.
at a time.
But Gene, what did you see with these drivers when you tested them on the robot?
So here's what's really interesting. Drivers from Callaway, for as long as I can remember, over 10 years, toe shots, not a lot of gear effect, stayed to the right. Heel shots came back. This was the first year that I saw a really forgiving dispersion pattern on both the Paradym and the Paradym X. And we saw gear effect on toe shots, and basically gear effect is when you hit off center, the ball has side spin and corrects or it doesn't correct. And on these two models, it definitely corrected, and there was slight gear effect on both of these models on the heel hits. Now on the triple diamond, where the weight is placed forward, the toe shot stayed to the right, the heel shot stayed to the left, which makes sense because that was the lowest spinning. Now, going to the numbers, what we found in testing was, and once again, we did a 9-point test on all positions on the face. We found the Paradym overall was a lower spinning and lower launching in comparison to the Rogue ST Max, which is the previous
And that's what everybody wants to know, because if you have Rogue ST Max, you're probably thinking about maybe getting this one. Okay, so that's what you could be getting based on what the robot's seeing.
And we also saw with the Paradym, it had a 1 mile an hour faster ball speed than the Rogue ST Max. So somehow or another, their weight placement generated a little bit more speed. Now, that speed could also be associated with the fact that we had a little bit lower spin, which the energy transfer could be going to the speed.
For the average golfer out there who's watching this, and they're saying, well, what is that gear effect going to do for me? How is the changes and the improvements that we've now seen in Paradym on the robot, how is that going to help benefit their game?
So if you swing square and you hit it in the center, goes dead straight, right? If you hit it on the toe, with a lot of these models, they're designed for a draw-based club swing path, meaning that the ball is going to have side spin on it, and so they push the ball out to the right. These, if you hit the ball square and then hit it on the toe with the same swing, the ball's going to correct. It's going to start to the right and correct. So it's almost a self-correcting mechanism that is really advantageous. Now, the thing that I noticed with this year's model is that they don't have a traditional draw bias model like they've had in the years past.
That's pretty interesting.
And it seems to me that both of these models have a little bit of that draw bias built in. And if you're not interested in the draw bias and you play an inside out swing, you can look at the triple diamond as far as an option.
I think part of that really comes down to the fact that when you talk about Callaway drivers, they've got a lot of adjustability built into the hosel, as well as in this model here, which is the Paradym, you've got the adjustable weight on the back. So with the Callaway, you can increase the lie angle a little bit. You can close the club face, add a little bit more loft, and then you put that weight in the heel. So for that player who needs that extra draw bias, you're gonna get it out of that model. But the same golfer who might need maybe a little bit more fade bias or still need maybe that extra spin because of the design of the driver, they're fitting more into that model already. They can, take a little bit of loft off the adjustable sleeve. They can really get and fine tune. And I think that's when we're talking about fitting tools and you're looking at which model you're more interested in. You really have to pay attention to, are you looking for something where, set it and forget it, or are you looking to adjust? Because a lot of golfers, they want to self-adjust. We talk about it many times. A lot of golfers get that wrench and they just throw it in their bag. You've got a fitting tool. It's a fitting tool.
Well, you have 6 different drivers.
Yeah.
That's the point. You don't have one driver, you have 6. To wrap up though, the one thing that I did want to comment on, Paradym X had the highest launch and a low to mid spin. It also had the tightest dispersion. So
interesting.
Another option if you're looking at, so I think they did a really good job of kind of, as I've talked about in the past, I'm a bell curve guy and you're trying to capture the largest segment in the marketplace. And I think they did a really good job of capturing a decent chunk of the marketplace with these 3 models.
What about the triple diamond? I mean, we
Triple
know
diamond
it's
was
low
just
spin.
low spin and, not the most forgiving in comparison to the other 2.
It's a trade-off.
It's a trade-off, exactly. You're not going to get everything in one driver. Hence, you have 3 drivers.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end this. Is that you have 3 different drivers. They're very distinct, depending on what you're looking for. If you want forgiveness and that adjustability, you got Paradym. If you want high launch, low spin, you've got the Paradym X. And if you got the tour level swing speeds and you're okay giving up a little bit of forgiveness, you got the triple diamond.